This first right turn's a little wonky with 75 people, so be very, very careful. We haven't had any crashes today. It's nice and safe.
Heads up!
Hey race fans, welcome back to Drewster Racing. You just saw some clips from the CSU Oval Criterium. As you can see, it was a bit of a bloodbath. Was looking forward to that race, but just very tight course, road furniture. They mixed categories, category 3, 4, and collegiate B. And yeah, just kind of had all the making for an absolute mess and definitely lived up to the hype. Nothing against the race, great course. They did a great job putting it on. It was just a lot of people, first race of the year. And I think just a lot of inexperience and guys were a bit nervous, and yeah, it got sketchy. So after seeing those two crashes, I wasn't too enthused to to really give it my all, and kind of pulled off at the end, and just yeah, that was it for me. So nothing really to talk about there. But today we have the Cobb Lake Road Race, which takes place a few miles north of Fort Collins. It's a 42-mile race with a very interesting, like 1.3-mile dirt/gravel section that is extremely rough. So I have the first lap of this race. For some reason, after this first lap, my camera just shut off with plenty of battery, plenty of memory. No idea why. I don't know if it's if it's the rough roads, but yeah, we'll go ahead and kind of go through this race, and I can tell you how it all shook out. The main feature of this race is a 1.3 mile gravel/dirt section that is extremely rough. And I know my footage when we get to that section in a few minutes, it's not going to do it justice. The GoPro stabilization is absolutely incredible. But when you hop on this road, your bike is shaking. It's bumping off the ground a few inches. You see water bottles being shot in the air, instant punctures. Just it's an absolute mess. And if you want to win this race, you have to be able to hang with the group on that dirt section. It is so difficult. I can't explain it enough, and I wish the GoPro footage did it justice, because you're going to see in a minute. And then near the end of the gravel section, it does start to slightly go uphill and turns into an immediate right turn onto pavements that starts I think 3/10 of a mile climb. That's very, very punchy. We rode it very fast the entire race. But to be honest, it really didn't feel that hard. We were maybe pushing 400 or 500 watts up that climb. But you really didn't notice it just because you were so relieved to be off the gravel. It almost felt easy. It certainly wasn't. And I know my heart rate definitely spiked at that point in the race. But just the thought of not being on that gravel makes it just seem so much easier. So right now we're at the start of the race. The first mile or so is neutral till everyone's on the actual course. And this was a pretty big field. I want to say we had around 70 racers in this field, and right now we're booking it. We're going 30 miles an hour. I believe we had a slight tailwind, and everyone's just fighting for position, because we know in I know less than a K to go, that gravel section is going to start, and everyone wants to be near the front, because as I mentioned, there are going to be immediate punctures. This stuff is extremely rough. There's washboards at the start that you'll be able to see, and it's tough. So if you get caught behind someone that gets a flat or just can't ride the gravel well, that could be the end of your race. And that's kind of how it shook out for me last year. Last year, in this race, I didn't really take positioning very serious, and also didn't expect the field to go full gas on the gravel section. And within 10 to 15 minutes into this race last year, my day was done. I lost contact with the main group. I think I had to solo ride basically for the next 3 laps, and that was it. That was actually I guess my first road race, and I was pretty disappointed. I spent $50, drove an hour and a half up to this race to essentially ride a solo time trial. So for this one, I wanted to take it extremely serious, and here we are now going into that gravel really slow. I'm unfortunately near the back, didn't get the positioning just right. But yeah, look at this, it's super bumpy. And again, the GoPro stabilization is working so well, because right now my bike is just bouncing all over the place. You'll see water bottles flying. And then guys pulling over to the side that get punctures almost immediately. And we're going pretty hard right now, 400 watts, getting to 500, and I'm already struggling. I'm kind of yo-yoing off the back, but I know it's 1.3 miles, and I can hold 400 or 500 watts for that distance if I really just give it my all. And you can kind of see I'm swaying all over the place, looking for a good line. And a lot of this section, there's just not a good line. So I kind of favor the outside here, and that seemed to work for me pretty well. But I do kind of veer all over the place. You want to catch a draft behind somebody, but sometimes that's not the best move, just because you have no idea what's ahead of you, and you might be going straight into one of these washboard sections, and you can easily lose control of your bike or again get a flat. So this race is 5.5 laps. The half lap does include this gravel section. So yeah, we get to go across this section here 6 times, which equates to about 8 miles or just under 8 miles of off-road riding, and it really wears on you. The first time through it is tough, but the adrenaline's pumping. You don't really notice it as much, but you know, after you run through it on the 3rd, 4th time, like, your body's really feeling it. And today's the day after the race as I'm recording this audio, and my wrists are so sore, my neck, my back, extremely sore. It is absolutely crushing. And yeah, by that last lap, you are ready to be done. And yeah, we really were pushing it on this section here. And I just told myself, like, we got to hang in for this first 1.3 and then the climb. Because I know once we get to the top of that short climb, the pace is it's gonna go down. There's just no way we can sustain this pace again. I'm pushing mid-4s, getting close to 5s, and I'm losing contact with the group. And then you hop on a section of pavement here, and unfortunately that's only like maybe 20 seconds of riding just for this bridge here, and it's gonna go back into the gravel. And if you look in the middle of this right lane, there's like a huge divot coming up once the gravel comes back. You gotta make sure you don't hit that. I think it's just to my left right here. Yeah, don't want to get caught in that. That can easily lead to a puncture. And here's this little uphill section near the end of the gravel. So it's gonna go uphill a little bit here, a few percent of grade. Nothing too crazy, but you know, you're at the end of the section, you're extremely tired, and this is the last thing you want. And guys are still fighting for position because, yeah, look at me, 600 watts, and I'm still slowly falling off the back, but able to kind of keep contact with the main group. But yeah, guys are fighting for position because we're going into this right-hander here, 90-degree turn, and that's gonna get us back on pavement, and then at the start of this short 1/3 of a mile climb. Not thrilled by positioning here, but as you can see, with the group this size going into a corner like this with some loose gravel, guys really slow down, and by the time, you know, the back of that peloton gets to that turn, we're going a few miles an hour, and that's not the way you want to start this climb. So I'm gonna have to put in a big effort to make sure I stay with the group here. So I'm putting in a dig, you know, I'm in the 4s, high 3s, and I'm just trying to stay in contact with this group. And you can see my heart rate's starting to spike. It's at 179. It's going to touch 180 in a second. And for me, that's about my max. But to be honest, like, I really didn't notice how much this hurt because, as I mentioned earlier, like, the gravel sucks so bad once you're on the smooth pavement. It feels incredible, and you kind of forget you're just, you know, you're putting out 400, 500 watts on the climb. And I'll do this climb all day if it means I'm not on that gravel. So I'm able to make contact with the group. And yeah, I mean, this climb's not terribly steep. I think it averages somewhere around 5%. So being with the group here, I'm definitely benefiting from the draft. And I know here's the start finish, or I guess the finish line since we had a neutral start earlier. Yeah, I'm expecting it to slow down a little bit here. You can see some guys in a second are going to grab some water. They're going to, you know, grab a gel. And yeah, I made it. I am with the group. Thank goodness. Again, this time last year, I was already off the back. My day was over, and I was just doing a solo ride for $50. But yeah, still with the group here. Very thrilled. And yeah, look at those watts. I mean, they're going down. I'm doing the mid 2s, so I can easily sustain that. I can grab a sip of water. Oh, and speaking of water, I packed 1 water bottle for this race. I expected the race to last, I don't know, anywhere from I think like an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. I think it fell within that range. So with it being this cold, I should be drinking more than 1 bottle. Definitely should have been drinking probably 2 bottles over the length of this race, but with it being this cold, I forget, and that's on me. But so I packed 1 bottle, and not this lap, but at the start of the next lap, the second I hit the gravel, my water bottle just goes flying, and I'm like, great, I got 35 more miles to go, and I don't have any water. But my teammate over here to the left, Mike, he hooked it up, gave me a water bottle with some of our flow mix in it, and yeah, I was good to go. So thanks, shout out to Mike for saving my day, because I wouldn't have lasted another lap or two without water. I would have been dying. So thanks, Mike. But yeah, we're cruising right now. Moving pretty fast, 30 miles an hour, but I'm tucked in comfortably in the draft. I mean, I'm not doing any watts right now, but yeah, I mean, really averaging around like 200. I mean, yeah, 140 watts right now. So taking it pretty easy. Heart rate's going down. I'm in the 150s. So feeling pretty good. And I know we've got this kind of windy, rolly section that goes through a really nice neighborhood, and it's a good spot to catch a break. And you know, if you look ahead, you can see some guys trying to break away, but that really wasn't working. We had a group this size, and you know, maybe one or two guys will get away, get a few seconds, but they're just not going to outride a group of this size and this strength. So, yeah, to my knowledge, I don't believe a breakaway got away in this race, at least for the 4 or 5 laps that I was with the main group. So at this point in the race, I kind of have a decision to make. You know, my heart rate's going down. I'm doing a little bit of a surge right now, but I'm not really putting out that much power as we go through the subdivision, and I'm starting to realize this is definitely a good place to move up. You know, if I wanted to, I could put in a surge and probably move up, you know, halfway through this field, possibly more, and it shouldn't be too difficult. Obviously, I don't want to try to move up in the gravel. I don't think I even could. So as I'm getting into this race, my strategy is to just hang with the group through the gravel, hang with the group through the climb, and when I need to advance, I can do it here. But right now, I'm comfortable. I'm not expecting a split at the moment. So I just kind of want to sit in, again, let myself recover as we wind through this subdivision. But I know I can't do that the rest of this race because there's definitely the chance of a break forming. And that's probably going to happen in the gravel or the climb. So I just need to make sure I'm in a decent position by the time we get to the gravel or the climb on the next lap or the next few laps. Oh, and I should have called this out earlier. For this race, I was running GP 5000s, 25 millimeter with tubes. Definitely not the best tire choice. I have no idea how I didn't get a puncture running tubes. Tubeless would have been ideal. And I had a set of 28s that I could have set up tubeless before this race, but it kind of slipped my mind. So yeah, I was stuck on the 25s with tubes, but made it the whole race, no punctures. Just probably wasn't as fast as I could have been on the gravel section, but maybe next year I'll remember. So skipping ahead, we're coming to the end of that rolly section through the subdivision, and we've got a right-hander coming up, another 90-degree turn. This is going to go onto a main road that's paved, and guys are starting to fight for position because it's kind of a tight turn. The center line rule is in effect, so not a lot of room once we get on this main road. And you want to be in a good position. This leads into a pretty long descent, not steep, maybe a few percent, I don't know, anywhere from like 3 to 5. But we're going to be going very fast here, and if you lose contact with the main group, I mean, you can easily get gapped, and again, that can be day over. So right now I know it's kind of go time, and I need to make sure I stay on my teammate's wheel here. Otherwise, I might get gapped. Luckily, it doesn't look like they're going too hard up ahead, but we are strung out, and I think there is a crosswind coming from left to right on the screen. Yeah, I need to make sure I stay in contact. But luckily, my teammate, he's bridging that gap, getting us in contact with the main group. Yeah, my teammate's going to continue to put in the dig, make sure we stay in contact with that group. And once this road kind of starts to level out, the group does start to slow down a little bit, so we're easily going to regain contact with the group. And again, we've got that slight crosswind, so once I catch up to the group, I'm going to try to find myself a nice spot, kind of get someone to my left so I can get some shelter and hopefully recover. Heart rate spiked up a little bit, up to 170, now dropping to the 160s, and I'm just going to try to use this stretch of road to recover. And we've got maybe a few more minutes on this road here, and yeah, it's kind of a nice little break. So yeah, I mean, I'm doing just a few hundred watts now, you know, close to zero, and just kind of freewheeling it, and we're hitting 40 miles an hour. But I've got some protection to my left, and yeah, this is a great time to just kind of take it easy before our next turn. The next turn that's going to come up in a few minutes, it's going to kind of veer to the left, and then we'll have a hard right-hander back on the road we started. So I'll give you a quick summary of how this race kind of shook out for me. As I mentioned earlier, I only got the first lap, unfortunately, of this race. I have no idea why my camera stopped recording. But just as far as like what my expectations were for this race, I think I definitely exceeded them. As I said earlier, I was dropped pretty early last year. This year I was able to stick with the main group for the first, I believe, 4 laps, and then going into the 5th and final lap, a few riders ahead of me let up a gap, and by the time I noticed, it was just a little too late, so I couldn't really hang on. And that's my fault. That's not the other riders' fault. I needed to be in a better spot, because at that point in the race, I shouldn't have been tailgunning. I need to know better that attacks are definitely going to be launching going into that last lap, and if I'm hanging out in the back, I'm definitely going to get caught out. So huge mistake on my end, but I'm pretty thrilled with my results. Just it's still early in the year. I'm pretty late with my training schedule, so I'm very happy that I was able to hang with such a strong group and such a big group. So yeah, overall, pretty good day for me. Yeah, going into this is the last turn of the course. We got a slight left here, almost kind of like a chicane, and then it's going to turn into a hard right-hander. And that is the full lap, essentially. So as I'm recording this commentary, I'm still waiting on the final results. Not expecting a high placing. I know the main group that got away from me going into that last lap was pretty big, so yeah, nothing really to, to write home about, but just a good day on the bike. Yeah, thanks for watching this video. I'll have a few more videos coming out pretty soon. We have the NOCO Criterium coming up this weekend on Saturday. So looking forward to that. I had 2 videos on that one last year if you want to check those out while we wait for that race. And the day after is Buff Gold. That'll be a new race for me. It's half dirt, half paved. Not too climby. I think there's like 1 punchy climb, so I think I can actually do pretty well. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Later.